uh, and things that look to you like who knows what, and it's quite obvious for Jewish to understand. So well, let's start with Armageddon. Armageddon, the location of Armageddon. Before Armageddon, I will say why if you know Hebrew, it's easy to understand the Bible. And I don't mean only the Old Testament, I mean also the New Testament. How many times this question came as a doubt, and as a kid, of course, how come that Mary was married and still a virgin, right? If you know the Jewish tradition, and Mary and Jesus, they both were Jewish, right? If you know the Jewish tradition, you know that this is like the procedures which gone in every Jewish wedding. Jewish wedding is divided to two. On the first part, the husband and the wife signed on a contract. It's called ketubah. And over there, the husband is promised to give to his wife roof above the head, food to eat, clothes to wear, education to the children, and even to make love with her. He signed for it, and if not, there is a fine to pay over there. Nothing to do with divorce yet. This is something that he has to give her if he is not implementing any one of those five. The second time, the second part of the wedding, when he finished to build her house and she moving in, then the marriage is completed. But long that he didn't finish to build her house, and don't forget, this was not the skyscraper that we have today. Everyone lived in his own shade or house or tent or whatever. Long that he didn't finish to build her house or the home, she's still staying on her place. Could be her place, could be her parents' place. She known as married, but she didn't move in with him yet. Obviously today, she's moving in with him first. They're having 17 kids, and then they are engaged, and 10 years later they get married. But the old Jewish way of living was as I described. First of all, the contract, and then the implementing the marriage. So therefore, Jewish people never had this kind of a question, how come that Mary was a virgin and she was married? Armageddon is not just a word for us. Armageddon, it's a place, it's a location. And I like to take you 10,000 years ago. A group of people wandering in the wilderness over here, was not much of trees, everything was almost nothing. And they said, we tired, we wanted to stay in one place. Will be 4 basic conditions to create a life. And what they will be? Water, right?
Water.
A small hill for defense, right? Food, that means land all around. And road for trade. Because without trade, you cannot do anything. If you look on the map, or I would say, so the very first group came over here. And they settled. And then maybe 20 years later, another group came over and said, wow, we like the idea, we're going to join you. The local people didn't want them. I don't know what was the reason. I might know what the reason. I will talk about this in about a few minutes. But the first group didn't want the second group. Could be that this was not even 20 years, that this was 5 years. And what was it? It was like a battle. And the village, what was a village, was destroyed. But those 4 basic conditions remain. They remain. The water is the same water, right? The land is the same land. The small hill is still small hill. And the road was still here. So they built on the ruins of the first village, they built the second. And then one of the girls, maybe her name was Daphne, I don't know. She didn't want to marry to one of the guys over there. His name was Michael. He was from a different family. And the families had clashes, and the village was destroyed. Those four basic conditions remain, right? So they build a third level of the village on the top. The location of Megiddo is very, very unique. And why? You remember that I told you that crossing the Mediterranean at that time was almost impossible, even later, even thousands of years later. What about where was the civilization at that time? Was either Egypt, when they started the civilization over there, either Egypt or Mesopotamia. The only way to cross from Egypt to Mesopotamia and vice versa was to walk on a place, on a route, it's called Via Maris, the sea road. You walk alongside, usually I used to do it on a map down over there. Pastor, you probably remember the map. Not any longer, they're doing renovation, I don't have the map. So you can walk alongside of the coastal road, and then not so far away from here is Mount Carmel, who are actually up to the water. So the route had to turn to a mountain pass, which is down over here. Actually, it's ended right over here and continue from here to Mesopotamia. So the only route from Egypt to Mesopotamia was only alongside over here. You might call it the I-95 of the ancient world, like the main route there was at that time. I'm not so familiar with the West Coast, so for me, East Coast, it's good enough. So anyway, 66, Route